So, Commissioner, thank you for coming out to Bow High School, first of all. What do you think of
Excited to be here.
What do you think of the school so far?
It's been great. So I've spent my day in the high school so far, and I've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of teachers and a lot of students, and I've seen some really creative classroom configurations. I've seen some really creative educational opportunities that are afforded to students. Met some great students who have some great futures ahead of them. They're heading off to all kinds of different colleges and doing all kinds of creative things. Met some guys who have plugged into the CTE Center over in Concord. And they too are doing some really creative and innovative types of things, working on job skills that are going to use and serve them well in the future.
Yeah, it's great. So what do you hope to bring to public education now that you're Commissioner and everything?
So there's a couple of things that I want to bring to public education. The first thing that I think is important to recognize is that there's kind of a shift that's taking place in public education, really a little bit of a generational shift to your generation. You know, I talk about education in the industrial age versus education in the information age. And in the industrial age, you know, the educators were the possessors of content, right? And so they would have all the information, they would give that information to the students. And say there was 30 students in a classroom, you know, 10 of the students might get the information, 10 might get about half, and 10 might not get too much, but the bell would ring and you'd move on. You'll notice that you guys don't have bells anymore. Because we've shifted ourselves into the information age where the content is so ubiquitous. It's everywhere around us, right? And so what really happens is that the role of the educator is shifting from being one of being the possessor of content to being someone who helps mentor and coach the students in terms of how to curate information, how to make the information formative. I had the opportunity to be in one of the classes this morning. I'm trying to remember the name of the class. It was one of your social studies class, but they were working on a project. And again, all of the students there, you know, are on their Chromebooks and they're doing research and looking up different kinds of information. And so they could get access to that information. And then the teachers in that room were trying to help the students kind of curate that information and figure out, you know, what's useful that we can do something with.
So what do you think could be improved in public education so far now that we're in the so-called digital age?
Yes, I don't know if improvement is the right word to use. I think what you have to recognize is that, you know, there's a continuous state of change that takes place, right? Nothing is static in life and in this world. And so what we always want to do is we want to be in a position to be able to change ourselves and grow and learn different things and experiment and innovate and be creative to adapt to the changing environment that we live in. So really that's, you know, so in terms of doing something, you know, we need to change to live in the new environment that we're in. Okay, so it's not a matter of doing something poorly or not poorly. It's a matter of how do we, you know, move forward all the time to be creative and innovative. And the two things that I like to focus on the most are, in particular, the personalization of learning opportunities for students. You know, we have to recognize that everybody's different. Like, you're a different student than the other students in the classrooms. And so what we want to do, and the challenge before us, is to try and create a system that recognizes those differences. The way that you learn is different, the pace that you learn. You know, you might have an aptitude for math and somebody else might have an aptitude for English and, you know, or an interest in that. And so it's just to create that personalization so that each student gets to learn, you know, at their pace and to get to their best possible outcome, really.
Yeah, everyone learns differently.
Exactly.
How do you think New Hampshire, how do you think New Hampshire is far as budget-wise? How should we fund education to make it more personalized?
Right. So first of all, in the personalization area, New Hampshire has been a leader. You know, it started, you know, a number of years ago. We had a gentleman who was on the State Board of Education. His name is Fred Bramante. And so he really kind of kicked off and initiated a lot of the stuff that has driven this culture of innovation in education here in New Hampshire. And so I think what you'll see is, so, you know, Fred Bramante kicked off this area of innovation in terms of, you know, pedagogy and learning and competency-based learning. And that same spirit of innovation, I think, is what we're going to need, and we're going to need to bring to the school financing, too. In other words, so there are various options that are out there that we all need to be working on, and I think that we have to collectively come together, be creative and thoughtful, listening to all the voices in the communities and finding solutions to these problems. And I think that's what's going to allow New Hampshire to continue to lead relative to school financing, but really the whole education system be a leader, not just in the United States, but really around the world.
Yeah. I mean, we're using competencies here at school now, so it's one step forward.
Exactly, because the point is that you should be advancing as you master certain content, and then you move on to the next step. And I think that that's a great way to learn.
Absolutely. That's it, Commissioner Edelblut, for you, and back to Ms. Studio.
Thank you.
All right.